Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Phoenix #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. But let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Stephanie Phillips with Alessandro Maracolo on art, colors by David Correa, letters by Corey Petit. So here we are with a brand new series for Phoenix. Very excited. I'll talk more about my awesome cover and maybe another cover that I picked up. But in this issue, life, fire, power, possibility, Phoenix. She is Jean Grey. She is Phoenix. She saves the world. She brings death. One woman alone in space who not only must do what no one else can, she yearns to. A desperate SOS from Nova brings the Phoenix to the edge of a black hole where hundreds of lives hang in the balance, and whatever Jean does or fails to do will bring darkness to the universe and haunt her in ways that she can only scarcely imagine. So that's right. The Phoenix is back. This is all, of course, from the ashes, a new beginning for the X Men. I really like that they kind of have, first of all, Jean going out on her own, right? I think that Jean, a lot of the time, is very tied into the X Men, and I really enjoy seeing her in an adventure where she's really out dealing with her own issues, obviously wielding the Phoenix Force once again after her return in the end of the Krakoan Age. So this is all just something that's very exciting as the character. Now bringing in Stephanie Phillips to write this character, I'm a big fan of Stephanie Phillips. I've really enjoyed some of the cosmic work that she's worked on at Marvel, including the Cosmic Ghost Rider, and then of course some of the other series, whether it's Marvel stuff, independent stuff. Very excited to just get into the page, and I really, really enjoy this issue. I think this issue marks a new beginning as to how we can take some of these characters and stretch them out into these really fun cosmic stories, bring them out, branch them out on their own. Now, I'm not too familiar with Miracolo's art, but I think it just really fits the aesthetic here. We encounter some alien races, and those are really fun designs. And then bringing in, of course, everyone else on the team. Whether it's the lettering, the colors, like everything just kind of works for this cosmic adventure to make sure that you feel the grandness of the Phoenix, but also as powerful as the Phoenix may be, Jean Grey herself still human, and there's gonna come times where maybe her decisions cause things to kind of escalate, and that's all we see here in this first issue, right? She has to make some tough decisions, but it's also really cool to see her like she has to go up against a black hole, right? She has to give back the sun to a civilization. Yeah, really, really cool stuff. Like just wielding those cosmic powers in this way makes this for a really fun comic. Let's take a look at some of the preview art so you can see what I'm talking about with the designs. As you can see here, the first few pages, we encounter the Phoenix as she's collapsing a star or absorbing energy from a star that was about to be destroyed. And of course, we catch these alien rays, they believe some of these things that are happening to be like from godly beings. And I would argue that Phoenix is probably as close to a godly entity as the Marvel Universe can hold. Um, and just really cool. Like, I think Miracolo really stretches the imagination here, especially as Jean shows herself as the Phoenix to this race of people. She brings fear, she brings hope, and she also brings the fire and ash. So yeah, really, really fun stuff. Really enjoyed this issue. There was a lot of surprises, and I think it's a fun setup for an ongoing adventure. Now, if you have the issue, you may see that towards the end, there's a little QR code in it. And I made a short about this, but I want to bring it up here again. There's a little QR code, and you can probably scan it from my page here. Um, but if for whatever reason you don't want to, it gives you a little bonus scene. So here you can check that out. It redirects you to the Marvel page, and it gives you this Phoenix #1 bonus scene, which is just a really nice tease for things that may be coming in the future. So yeah, very cool stuff. As I mentioned, I picked up my Joe Quesada foil cover, which will also be this book is going on second printing, so they'll use this cover as the main cover. And I also picked up my Peach Momoko cover. These are some of the artists that I just really enjoy. I hadn't picked up a Joe Quesada cover in a long time, actually. So that was really nice, and the foil just really makes it stand out in a really fun fashion. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Namor #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Jason Aaron with art by Paul Davidson and Alex Lins, colors by Niraj Menon, letters by Joe Caramagna. This is chapter 1, Prince of the Blood. Now, I went into this not knowing much about the status quo for Namor, or Namor, however you want to call him. Um, but I knew that Jason Aaron was writing this book. I'm a big fan of Jason Aaron, and I think Jason Aaron has a very specific way of telling stories. So I definitely wanted to check it out. Right, some of his current Marvel work has been the Punisher series, that Doom one shot that he did with Sanford Green. So like, yeah, there. Oh, actually, that was Jonathan Hickman. Ignore me. But yeah, this has been really, really interesting to try to catch a new look at this story. So let's talk about the. Let me give you a quick synopsis for this. War rages beneath the waves from the lost cities of the secret seas to the fathomless depths where elder whales reign. Seven kings, old and new, fight to rule the watery realm. But where is Namor, the once mighty submariner? He's sitting behind bars on the surface with no intention of ever setting foot in the seas again. So begins an oversized Atlantean event that will forever reshape the landscape of the underworld and the undersea, while at last laying bare the dark history of Atlantis at its fiercest, most infamous defender, and an epic that will redefine the King of the Seas in the manner of Jason Aaron's Punisher. I don't know exactly what that means, but I will say this: this is a very interesting story. I think there's a good setup here. I don't know that I'm fully hooked, and part of that is that, as I mentioned earlier, there are two artists working on this. One of them, the art it's not so much my style or my preferred style, but I understand, and I think the effect really works here, especially like in this dingy prison setting that we're seeing for Namor. I don't know. We still don't know what he did or didn't do to deserve or to feel like he deserves to be in prison. But of course, humans are treating him like garbage, and you kind of get to see that. So let's take a look at some of the preview art so you can see what I'm talking about. Here you see Namor just being tortured and being bullied by the guards, and it's just this doesn't feel like it'd be something he would just take very light, like laying down. He would take very lightly, um, but it happens, and he's just kind of taking his punishment. So it feels like he's atoning for something. I just don't know what. I don't know if it's something I missed from a previous run, or maybe something that we will talk about uh, as we go through the story. But yeah, this looks disgusting. The character designs behind them, the aesthetic, the tone of this is all very dark, very grim. Like I said, not my favorite art style. I think it feels a little bit I don't know. It feels a little bit over dramatized. I don't know if that makes sense, especially in comparison to here. I'll show you some of the from my issue. This is what the other artist looks like, what the other art looks like, and it's just a lot more colorful. And I do appreciate the contrast between the two styles. I know it's definitely done for an effect. So here's also the cover. I picked up the main cover. I thought that was really cool. Although there are some other great covers, you can see them at the end of the video. I'm gonna keep reading this. I don't know if I'll pick it up weekly or I'll wait for it to be on Marvel Unlimited. Um, but I'm definitely interested in where this is going. Sometimes I do feel like Jason Aaron stories for me are better once they are all complete. So we'll see. I think this is one of those instances. So, hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for X-Men Blood Hunt, Laura Kinney the Wolverine, #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics, of course, a Blood Hunt tie-in, and one of my favorite ones to date. All these little X-Men one-shots actually are so amazing. But let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Stephanie Phillips with art by Robert Gill, Nolan Woodard on colors, letters by Bjorn Barons. We do have variant covers, including one by Peach Momoko, which I'll show you later on in the video. So these these one shots from the X-Men line for the Blood Hunt Titans, they really picked some of my favorite characters. We have Wolverine here. We had Jubilee, Magic. We also had a Psylocke. Like, just go ahead and pick all my favorite X-Men and drop them into this vampire nightmare, right? That's really, really fun. So in this issue, the bloodiest rescue mission yet, the vampires will stop at nothing in their bid for supremacy, including capturing mutants for Helish's experiments to boost their own power. But on Larrakini's watch, the Wolverine slices a swath through the vamps, but she encounters the truth behind their machinations, and an unlikely ally will prove to be more than she bargained for. Yeah, this is just a really exciting issue. I've mentioned in a previous video when I did my Phoenix review that Stephanie Phillips, just one of my favorite writers at the time, really here and in some of these ongoing, whether it's like independent work, whether it's work at Marvel, I really enjoy seeing Stephanie Phillips' name on the credit page, and she really just nails it here. We also get to see Scout, aka Honey Badger, one of my favorite characters. Anything that's related to Wolverine, really, it's probably some of my favorite stuff. So, what I do want to highlight in this issue is Robert Gill goes all out when it comes to the violence and the blood. I think Gill and Woodard really do a very great job bringing this nightmarish vampire hellscape to life, but also just dropping the Wolverine right in there, because of course, with a character that has claws and talons in the feet, like, things are gonna get bloody. So let's take a look at some of that preview art. So here's exactly what I'm talking about. I really like that a lot of the artists have really gone in and given us their own rendition of what they think or what they feel vampires are supposed to look like in the Marvel universe, right? I think we've seen a multitude of designs, and this one's just really cool. It's almost very, very zombie looking vampires. You do get to see a lot of degeneration in their skin and stuff like that. And that might be one of the reasons that they would want a character like Honey Badger Trap, right? Or Scout, I guess. So here we see, I love this panel here with the blood really making up the other panels as we see Laura looking for Scout, and we finally find her. And of course, the vampires with a character that can regenerate, um, they would definitely try to get as much blood out of her because they can use that to enhance their own powers. So yeah, just a great concept and really a very exciting twist right after this too. This is not even the crux of the story, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone. Just know that you're in for a really, really fun adventure with these one shots. So I picked up the Peach Momoko cover. As you can see, great stuff. I love Peach Momoko's work. I picked up at least 3 or 4 covers by her this week, and this one's just one of my favorites. All the X-Men covers all the X-Men one shots for the Blood Hunt, I'm pretty sure I picked up her cover just because I love the way she designs the characters. So hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be talking about another Blood Hunt tie-in, that is the Amazing Spider-Man Blood Hunt #3. This closes out the arc for this little mini-series that ties into the bigger event. But let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Justina Ireland with pencils by Marcelo Ferreira and Chris Campana, inks by Roberto Poggi and Craig Young, colors by Rachel Rosenberg, letters by Travis Lanham, and a main cover by Marcelo Ferreira, with Poggi and Rosenberg. So, what's been going on here? So this is the book where we're trying to save Morbius, who is also trying to find the cure for vampirism. So like everything is connected. We have a really interesting team up of Misty Knight, the Amazing Spider-Man, and also the Lizard. We also see that Morbius and Colleen Wing have been taken in by this by the Hemoglobin Inc. So in this issue, we see that Morbius is the one man close enough to a cure for vampirism. The vampires of the world cannot allow the cure to be reached. Spider-Man has Misty Knight, Colleen Wing, and the Lizard on his side, but it won't be enough. Well, that seems kind of a downer, um, because I think it was enough. I think definitely this is a very interesting team. I think out of all the tie-ins, as far as this one, this feels overall pretty inconsequential to the main Blood Hunt story, but it's still a fun one, right? It's not as closely tied in as the Avengers or the Dracula miniseries. Um, but it really feels like okay, there's something going on here. We have some really fun, interesting group dynamics. I think Ireland really understands how to write a fun Spider-Man, but also a Spider-Man that cares about Morbius. Right, Morbius and Spider-Man have such a long, just a relationship that's been around for so long. Sometimes is antagonistic, sometimes is more of like they're trying to help each other, but they just don't know how to do it exactly. And I think this is where we are in one of those cases. Now, as any good miniseries, like sometimes it does bring a lot of the status quo back into the fold. Which is fine. I think it's as long as it's a fun ride. I don't mind starting in the same. I don't mind going back to the same starting point as long as the ride was fun. That's kind of what roller coasters are. You go in, you have a good time, and then you kind of come back to the same starting point. But you've definitely had an experience. That's what this book feels like to me. So let's talk about some of the art. We do have multiple artists here, and their styles are so similar that I was never able to pinpoint which artist was doing which page, and I think that's really good on the editorial side. Sometimes a story like this can feel disjointed, but it doesn't happen here, which is great. I think it's really fun that both artists are able to collaborate and make sure that their work is integrated enough. Now, some other people may have a more keen eye than mine, and you'll be like, "What are you talking about? The art's so different." But yeah, great fights, really dynamic. I love the Spider-Man poses in this book are insane. And then we do see that Colleen Wynn has been turned into a vampire. So how's the team going to deal with that? Will Morbius find the cure for everyone? You just gotta have to read this last issue to find out. But yeah, this was a whole lot of fun, and I really enjoyed this last issue. Like I said, one of my favorite times, even though it's pretty overall inconsequential to the Blood Hunt event. But not everything has to be like super tied in. I appreciate that Marvel is giving the readers an option to see like how far do you want to go into the blood hunt, right? Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Ultimate X-Men #5. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's talk about the creative team behind this book. Of course, we have writer and artist Peach Momoko, including the cover art, with a script adaptation by Zach Davidson and letters by Travis Lanham. I think a lot of the time we kind of underestimate the value that Zach Davidson is bringing into a book like this. Of course, everything is written by Peach, but it is very important to have that translation, that adaptation, that localization happen, right? Zach Davidson does a lot of manga translation, if I'm not mistaken. I definitely have seen his name in some of the stuff that I read and in a lot of the manga that I tend to check out. So this issue, though, oh my goodness. In this issue, the New Mutants face their first enemy. Maystorm isn't the only one with mutant electric powers, and Noriko Ashida is here to make sure that she knows it. A fun summer festival turns haunted and dangerous as spirits and surges collide. Plus, the shadow who has been haunting Armor finally reveals his true face. Yes, there's a lot of things that I was hoping that we would finally get a little bit more answers. But I think seeing first of all more characters, more obstacles for this like this group of little kids that I mean they're young teens, but this group of teens that are finding their way into this world, experiencing this thing that nobody has ever experienced before, becoming mutants, and on top of that, they have some enemies that not only are they bringing the horror and like torturing them, really, like they are being very well antagonized. So as soon as you kind of get into this issue, you're like, oh, that's the guy, and then you also realize that his motivations, of course, very sinister. So very very interesting stuff. I'm really enjoying how different of a book this feels. Like out of the whole Ultimate X-Men line, I think this has the most unique feel. especially when it comes to Western comics. So yeah, but let's take a look at some of the preview art. As you probably know, Peach Momoko is a fantastic artist, but I love that she's not afraid to draw stuff that is pushing the boundaries of like, her style is definitely feels very calming and beautiful, but that juxtaposed with some of the crazy imagery that we're seeing, like this guy with a knife close to a little blade close to his eye, all the stuff that we've seen with armor, the scar in her leg, and then also the all the little facial expressions of this guy you can see here, and then of course we get back to the horror of it. What this entity that has been haunting armor all throughout. We finally get a little bit more of a glimpse of that. So, even though she has friends now and Hisako isn't alone, like she definitely still has a lot to worry about. So this is really really fun. I don't know that this is gonna appeal to everyone, especially coming in thinking that this is just like an X Men book. But I like it. It really appeals to. I'm a big fan of manga, so like this really feels like a good in between both media. So yeah, really fun stuff. Once again, beautiful cover. I was able to pick up. I picked up the main cover. I'm picking up all the Peach Momoko covers, and just yeah, as I get through this book, it's really fun. Some really funny visuals as well. These are some of the things that I didn't put on the preview, but yeah, it just really works. And the revelations of this issue just really bring everything to a front. So very excited to see where this goes. Very excited as the team kind of comes together, and we get to see a little bit more of both new allies and also new enemies kind of popping up. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for NYX number one. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly with art by Francisco Mortorino, colors by Raul Angulo, letters by Joe Sabino. This is another book from the ashes, a new beginning for the X-Men line. In this issue, this is NYX. This isn't a book. This isn't a book about the X-Men. This is a book about mutants living past the end of the world into a new beginning. This is Miss Marvel embracing her mutant life in the neon streets of the Lower East Side. This is Anole trying to keep his head above water. This is Wolverine in the shadows of Bushwick protecting her own. This is Prodigy writing history as it happens. And this is Sophie Cuckoo finding her own way. The news reports are bleak. The streets feel dangerous. There's something lurking underground. Evil coming from every direction, but they are determined to make it. This is a mutant community. This is mutant pride. This is NYX. So I'll start with saying have never read the original NYX title. So if that's not how you say it, uh, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Um, but I'm very intrigued because of the characters, because of the creative team. Big fan of Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. I've been following them for a long time. I think the only book that I didn't fully connect with theirs was the Guardians of the Galaxy run that they were just on. But outside of that, I've been checking out pretty much everything, even prior to Marvel, right? So make sure to check out their work, especially some of their indie work is really, really good. But yeah, I've really been enjoying the stuff they did with Cap, and I think that this is going to be a really fun take on these new characters. It's an interesting group of characters to follow around as well, right? Um, so I hope that going forward we get to see some experiments like this where we kind of shuffle around a lot of these characters. Some may have a little bit of backstory with them, some may have some history already with them, and some of them just may be interacting in new ways. Especially because now Kamala is in this as a mutant here, right? That's pretty new. That's relatively new fair compared to all the other mutants here. So let's talk about this issue here. This is specifically very Kamala centric. I think Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing want to put us in the driver's seat through the eyes of Kamala Khan. Uh, she is really our guide. She's trying to get back to her old life, right? She still has a secret identity, unlike a lot of the mutants that we know. and also just kind of walking in through the streets of New Jersey and New York as they kind of come in through here. Uh, Really cool stuff. I like the dynamic of the people that are working with this. Specifically, we get to see a lot of Kamala and Sophie as they're going to the same school. And there's a lot of surprises along the way. As far as the art goes, they kick off with a really beautiful 9-page grid and then a nice spreadsheet, a spread page. So let me pull up some of the preview art here. This opening page just kind of highlighting, giving us little hints of all the characters we're going to be following around, and also giving us a little bit of a feel for the attitude of the book. Right, this is going to be something new, something interesting. We're gonna see some characters we probably hadn't seen in a while, specifically when it comes to the antagonist. But then just I love the shot of Kamala just running around through the bridge, walking through traffic. Although I don't know how safe that is while she's on the phone. But yeah, she's going to school. She still has an identity to protect, and she runs into Sophie. So like this is it just makes it really cool that we connect with a character that normally she's not on her own, right? And that's part of kind of the mystery and the intrigue of the book, why she's running around on her own. So um, I think this book is full of surprises. This is one of the books that has that QR code at the end. But if you redeem your digital copy, like that page is already included in the digital copy, so there's no need to worry there. I know I've been seeing a lot of people kind of make complaints about the QR codes or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You get a full story. I can say that much. If you have read this book, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe. Let me know which cover you picked up. I just picked up the main cover because I like the one that it's a group shot. But we do have some other covers that really focus on Laura Kinney, Wolverine. That's the version of Wolverine that's in this book. Um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe when I go to my other shop, maybe I'll pick up some other covers. So hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Vengeance of the Moon Knight #7. This is a Blood Hunt tie-in. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Jed MacKay with art by Alessandro Capuccio, colors by Rachel Rosenberg, letters by Corey Petit, with a really cool cover by David Paratore. Let's talk about this book a little bit. Midnight Mission Impossible. Hunter's Moon, Tigra, and Reese launch their boldest offensive yet. The clock is ticking, the odds are against them, and the vampiric stakes have never been higher. But will they succeed? The entire Earth's future just might depend on it. Uh, all right, so I will say this book for sure has been kind of spoiled in the pages of Blood Hunt itself, but that did not dissuade me from enjoying the story. I like what Jed MacKay like. We really get a lot of background into the mission that Tigra and Hunter's Moon had to release Khonshu from the prison in Asgard. We get a little bit of background on that. We also get to see the reaction from Khonshu as he is freed. He sees the way he sees the world. He talks about all of his Moon Knights, including bringing back Mark Spector. So if you're not reading Blood Hunt, I think this issue may not make a lot of sense. Uh, but we are still keeping track from from the previous issue, and I think the next one is going to be really interesting as well. So um, that's what I would say would be something that people might have a gripe against this issue. But like I said, I really enjoyed it. I love seeing that additional extra story behind it. So all right, let's talk about the art. Alessandro Capuccio has really been killing it on Moon Knight ever since the series started. He's been kind of the main artist. There's been a few arcs where he has taken a break to catch up on work, but overall, like I just love his very stylized, very dynamic art. Uh, I love the little kind of like the brushes, specifically in all the white, in all the designs, and all in the cape, and especially when you see Mark. I don't know that I have art for Mark, but yeah, Tigers and Hunter's Moon kind of sneaking in, and just going through their mission. And here we see, I love that they brought this guy with an Asgardian crowbar. to open the cage, and yes, of course they're able to free Khonshu. So that was very cool. And like I said, even though this is something that the story wasn't new to me, like I still think that it was really fun to see kind of all these little things from behind the scenes. So I've been enjoying Moon Knight ever since Jed McKay took over. So I'm gonna read all of it until maybe until they're off the book. If that's happening anytime soon, which I'm not really sure. So have you read this issue? Let me know. What did you think about it down in the comments? There's some really cool variants, including the first Alien versus Avengers variant are dropping soon. So you can see Moon Knight fighting some xenomorphs. So, as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.